and this is what I think they're doing so wrong with heroines today. They have to be vulnerable because that's how I can understand them. When Ripley goes to
they have
fight
to be
the
human.
alien,
Yeah.
yes, show me that she's scared. I'm not going to look down on her for that. I'm not going to judge her because she's terrified out of her mind. But if she,
I couldn't
show me what it's
agree
like
more.
to be scared and go out anyway. Because that's something that I'll start to like lean in. When Ripley goes to fight that alien, there wasn't a man in the theater who's like, "Oh, she ran away. What a wuss." We're all like, "Yeah, get the hell out of there." And then she comes back. We're like, "Oh, what is she thinking? What is she doing?" And then she wins. So show me that she's vulnerable. Show me that she has doubts. I think like if I was like a young girl, I'm gonna have doubts. I'm gonna seriously question whether I'm up to something or not. Show that in our heroines, because if our heroines act like that and overcome it, then all those girls watching will be like, okay, so having doubts is normal. I have doubts. That's a normal thing. So you have to show your heroes and heroines. You have to show their vulnerabilities. And I think that is the right message that I think is being ignored for the wrong reasons. They think that vulnerability is weakness, and to show a heroine is weak is to send the wrong message. And I'm saying that's the exact opposite of my conclusion. Show the vulnerability and let's see how she deals with it. And if the story is well told, even if she dies in the end, that still tells us something. She risked herself in this endeavor. The fact that she didn't make it doesn't even make her weak. It might make us say like, man, we need some changes around here because look what just happened to this person when she stood up for the right cause, So
yeah, I couldn't possibly agree more. I just want to make a quick note though. Is my microphone still sounding good? Because I moved it. I just want to check. Does it still sound good?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Sounds great.
Yeah, I will not get into a rant on this. I'm just going to briefly agree with you. It's just like, it's so annoying because I understand why it happened culturally, right? Because previously, if you go back and watch movies from several decades ago, you can easily see, okay, we used to show women being often pushovers, and they were not often, they didn't have a lot of agency in the story. In a lot of movies, there was a lot of, they're always there just kind of fainting around and needing help. And I'm not saying every single movie was like that, but that was the norm. And so then people are like, well, let's get rid of that. Let's do these quote unquote strong female characters, where it's just the exact opposite, where it's not humanizing a character to show them never being strong. It's also not humanizing them to show them always being strong. It's like, oh, she's always getting rescued. Oh, now she never needs to be rescued. It's like, no, just show a human. It really irritates me because it's, in my opinion, equally sexist.
I think it is as well. And I take a position on that as a writer. If it's not good writing, then I'm against it.
Yes.
So, you know what I'm saying? So, because even Han had to come back and bail him. Dude, Luke Skywalker Han Solo out-manlies him throughout the entire first movie. He's talking down to him. He's taller. He's bigger. The second Luke is thinking about Leia, Han's like, well, maybe I'll go for her. And he's like, oh, and he gets all mad about it. Han's the manly character in that, and Luke is not. And Luke even needs to be saved in order to blow up the Death Star. Han's got to come in and kind of bail him out on that. And this is not uncommon in stories. So the idea that a heroine does not need help or support or saving once in a while, I think is ridiculous. And it doesn't take away anything from her. But I think what you're saying, and you're right, is that if the heroine if it's a reductive portrayal of a heroine in a very clear and overt way, well, then you've got some problems. And that heroine isn't going to stand the test of time, or she's just a prop for the hero.
Right.
And quite honestly, if they're just props, it doesn't make the hero look that great, in my opinion. I think if you have even if the heroine is a secondary character, you can make her awesome and secondary if it's not her story, just like you can have a male character who's secondary and also awesome in a heroine story. I don't know how we've gotten into this black and white thinking. It's such a mess in the story.
And nobody wants this. Like nobody. Well, that's not true. There are some people who want this, but they're in the minority. It's just mostly. I feel like a lot of people. I don't feel like this problem exists as much in books. I feel like I encounter a lot more nuanced characters when I'm reading novels. But a lot of movies, it just feels like Hollywood's so out of touch with like what normal people relate to and want to see on the screen.
They've sealed themselves off somehow and are missing things. And then when the audience doesn't respond favorably, they come up with really bizarre reasons why. It's like there's a lesson to be learned and they learn the wrong lesson over and over again, and it's driving me nuts.
Like there'll be like a, you know, like a Mary Sue type, like one of the kinds of characters we're talking about where it's just she doesn't grow, she doesn't change, she isn't a character, she's basically a cardboard cut out in the opposite direction. She's maybe not a prop because she has some volition, but she has everything's easy for, you know, it's like a character no one can relate to, no one can be inspired by. And then if anyone says that, then it's like, oh, the fans are just being sexist. It's like, no, you're being sexist with your character.
Yeah, well,
so,
well,
as you can see, I get worked up on this.
Yes, this is
well,
but
I think for the right reason. Well, I think as people who like to write, we love to watch movies and read books too. So there's nothing better than watching one of your favorite movies and reliving every nuanced emotional reaction to your favorite films. Like, oh, here's that part here. Like, you can micro experience every second of that story and love it. There's nothing better than that. So when you're watching a movie and they keep jarring you and taking you out of it, it's like, you're depriving yourself of writing better, like a better story. And you're depriving all of us of finding that next hero or heroine that we're looking for, you know, like,
yeah.
You know, I think most men and women alike love male and female heroes and heroines. I don't
most
think
people
we're
aren't
that
sexist like that.
about
It's like
the average person is not.
Storytelling is such a opportunity for connecting with each other as humans. You know, like you have a character and it doesn't matter. Like this is one of the things I love about storytelling. It doesn't matter what their gender is. It doesn't matter what their background is. It doesn't matter, you know, what their race is, obviously. Like it's just like what their any sort of random, you know, thing that you can put on that we use to separate ourselves into categories. When you're watching a good movie or reading a good book, all that goes away and you're connected by the common humanity. And like that's what we should be doing with our characters. If you want to make the world, you know, less whatever, insert bigotry type thing, you know, it's like just keep telling good stories about humans. And most people that's just fine. Like we just connect with an interesting person. We don't care about whatever category they're in. And so, but when people act as if we do care so much, it's so insulting and it just reinforces the very problems they're trying to fix. Yeah.
Well, I do believe it's a phase.
I hope you're right.
I believe it's a phase. I'm sorry,
overcorrection. I said, I hope you're right. I think you are. It's like a pendulum swing and the overcorrection that will hopefully balance out. Yeah.
Do you want to?
There's a part of me that thinks this era will be studied.
Well, I think it will
be studied.
Yeah, I think it will. I think it will. Like, what is it that was being produced? Why, in the context of our time, what is going on? What the responses were, or but responses were by audiences, what the responses were by executives. Oh, I think it will be. I think this will be a 10 or 15 year period.